Good evening and welcome to the April 17th, 2012 Waterboro Board of Selectmen's meeting. If you'd rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And welcome everyone tonight. And those of you at home that have tuned in to watch the business meeting, we will start off with the announcements. Are there any announcements this evening? On behalf of the board, I'd like to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Pam LaRue. Her mother passed away as a result of a traffic accident a few days ago. Those of you that know Pam, she was the emergency management director in Waterboro, and you probably saw her, vehicle around town quite a bit. So we certainly express our wishes be with them during this particularly trying time. On a much more pleasant note, we often hear negative stories about the youth in the community. When you pick up the newspaper, you read that somebody had been involved in this particular activity or that activity that caused them to get in trouble, and it seems like you hear negative things. But I'm pleased to say that there's a young lady in this community, lives up in Lake Arrowhead. She's a member of the staff of the Waterboro Parks and Recreation, one of the swim instructors. She's 17 years old and homeschooled. Her name is Amanda Raymond, and she recently won a piano competition at the Portland Conservatory of Music. She had to play 5 different pieces, and ranging from Beethoven to a number of other classical compositions. And she's going to be moving on now to another competition that's going to take place at the First Parish Church in Portland, also sponsored by the Conservatory. Previously, she won first prize in the Bangor Symphony Orchestra's high school concerto competition. So I'd like to wish her the best of luck in the competitions that she has coming forward, and to congratulate her on her present win. Any other further announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. Is there anyone that has an appointment with us this evening? Okay, seeing none, we move on to hearing of delegation. Is there anyone present who has business before the board? Yes, Bridget.
Hello, Bridget McCallum, President, Waterboro Library Trustees. I wanted to give an update. We're scheduled to appear before the board on May 9th for library and trustees and events. But there's a situation with the exterior of the library now that I think is time sensitive, and I wanted to let you know about that to see what might be able to be done. I put together a couple of pictures so that you can actually see it.
Okay.
That's fine.
Is that okay that they have chosen?
Oh, that's fine. We hope to accommodate you in your presentation.
I've been duly trained in how to do that, just so
I feel like
I'm certified to hit the switches.
I hope you have it next to your CV.
It's nice to see, the different committees and so forth using the equipment that's been installed in here. So I think it adds something to the presentations as soon as we can get it up on screen, that is.
That's right. No signal.
So now we don't have a source.
Oh, good. There we go.
There we go.
Just gotta hit the right button.
No.
So now,
That'll be enough for the others.
Yeah.
I didn't put a lot of contrast on the title side. All right, this time of year, we have an annual problem, which is that our parking lot is in sad repair. And even with the very, very little bit of snow that we had this winter, we were plowed a couple of times. And so it ends up as part of the parking lot, and it ends up on the lawn. So Dave, if you could go to the next slide. Now, this is a view, you see where the cemetery is, that's to the left and behind the library. So this is a view of that part of the lawn. And it just looks messy, but all the way over to, ahead of where that patch of grass is where grass will be coming in. And, okay, Dave, next one. This is trying to give some scale. This is the water bottle that I put.
Bridget, would you like to use this?
That would be great. And how does it work?
Just press the button, the silver button, and point it at the screen, and you should see a little red dot.
So these are all broken bits of tar, and right as it is now, the lawnmower will not be able to mow that lawn. And I see where I thought.
This is on the lawn?
Yes, this is, if you can go back a slide, Dave. Does this give me the little red dot? There we go. This is the area where I should have put the water bottle when I took this shot too. But this is the area that I'm highlighting in a couple of shots. So that really needs to be cleaned out of there so that the lawn can be mowed. Otherwise, we're just going to have, well, the curb appeal at the library is not high grade anyway. So this is just something that happens every year. I don't know how it's been cleaned up in the past. And I don't know, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, I'm just trying to see if we can get this fixed. I don't know if it's the road department or Parks and Rec, or I know Parks and Rec used to mow the lawn, and whether they still oversee that now, I don't know. So, back to the next slide, please. All right, so that's just showing you a detail. Next. This is another area that's not far from the one that I could show you. Next. Another detail, next. And then this is what's on the parking lot now, which you know is going to end up in the same shape next time it gets plowed. That'll be in the... So as long as I've been involved with the library, which is about, well, I've lived here 15 and a half years, and I've been actively involved as a trustee for 10. Nothing has ever been done to upgrade the parking lot, and I don't know if it's something that the town has an account for all of town facilities paving, or whether that's something that comes under each department's budget. But I am aware the town hall, the transfer station, fire department has had a lot of paving done over past years, and it's been brought up by Bruce many times over the years. And so I just wonder, I want to have that on I don't know, record that we really need something to happen to the parking lot. Next, please. And then there's just dirt that's been pushed up, which could be raked pretty easily over by the right-hand side of the library. The paving, I guess they must push most of the snow over to the other side, which is where the tar ends up. Okay, next. Okay, this slide shows you part of the parking lot. Next one. And there are probably 5 or 6 patches like that. I mean, it concerns me both from visual, from cleanup, and from public safety. If, someone doesn't have good eyesight or a child running, someone could trip on the edges of those, and it concerns me. It used to concern me just because it was ugly. Now it's concerning me for other reasons, too. So that's the parking lot. And then this is just to show you, we had in the budget a couple of years to paint the library, and I'm aware that Nancy has told me there's only operating budget money left this year. But next, Dave? Okay, just go slowly, give about 5 seconds on each one. That's the front, the upper part of the front entrance. There are a series of hornet's nests that are along the, is that called flashing, underneath the outcrop of the roof? This is the back where the inside has been completely gutted and repaired on the left side, which is this storage sitting room now. The right side is a bathroom that is in the works to be redone, and that's the new roofing that was put on last year. This is the rear entrance. This is the handicapped accessible entrance. The car ramp that comes up to it, that's in good shape. The ramp is accessible. People have used it. Once they get inside, it's very difficult to maneuver around because it is so crowded, but you can just see the exterior does need maintenance. Okay. So I guess my objective is to find out if there's anything that can be done to clean up the tires so that as the grass comes in, with the warm weather now, we're going to be having lawn growth, and to see if we can get a mower able to be down here. And Ruth is not in a position to be sort of overseeing any of this stuff right now. She can hardly talk on the phone. So she and I talked, and she knows that I'm here and that I'm speaking with you tonight. And so I guess it's just FYI, and anything I can do to help expedite things, I would be happy to do that. But I'm guessing there would be money needed for someone to clear out the tar, whether it would be a bucket loader that would just scoop it up and bring it to the transfer station or what, I don't know. But it's they're chunks. Fair sized chunks. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I can tell you, Bridget, we have been discussing it, and Pete's been in, and when Doug gets back, we're going to look and see what the road can do, go down there,
Great.
because they have a sweeper on the track to see if they can sweep some of that off the lawn. And
Okay.
the painting is in the budget for July 1st,
Okay.
for next year's budget.
Yeah, and I don't know, okay, I don't know how well that's going to go in the heat of summer. We may have to wait till later in the summer. I don't know, it's a south-facing wall, and there are hornet's nests, but it would be good to get at least the front done. But the rest of it, obviously, just for slowing down rotting, or needs to be patched and primed and painted. Okay, well, that's good to know that it's in for July. And then in terms of the paving, is there a town-wide paving budget, or does that come under individual departments?
We're in the process right now of trying to incorporate within the budget a facilities line that takes care of something like that. But I think in the past, it had been within the individual budget.
And is that considered part of maintenance or capital?
Well, that's what
expense?
we're hoping to have it as part of a general maintenance thing.
I see.
It was in the capital for last year before last, but it didn't make it through the capital improvement process. But
Yeah, I know, we've been trying to get something done for a while. All right, well, I understand physical constraints, but I'm also concerned especially about the tar, but then also the other. And the garden club's going to be rebuilding the sign garden. We're aware that we're one of the first buildings that people see as they come into town from that direction, and the garden club has done a lot of work to take out the gardens and put them back in for putting the windows in, and now they're out. It's all nice grassy beds, but hopefully within the next couple of months, the front garden by the sign, which is the most obvious to people on the road, will be rebuilt and look a lot better.
As the town administrator indicated, the funds for painting will become available hopefully July 1. But that certainly doesn't preclude having someone go down there and take care of those hornet's nests, because we don't have to wait until July 1 to do that. And I doubt seriously if we were going to paint right over them anyway.
I'm thinking about the person painting.
So we could probably, do some preliminary work, some scraping or something like that, but I'm sure the town administrator will be able to coordinate that with the maintenance.
yeah, because Pete went down and got the air conditioners today for the library. So I should have known that we could have had him picked up some hornet spray. So we need to pick some up and get them sprayed.
I think I have some at home. When we got our roof put on, we had ornaments. I'll bring it down if I find it. Okay,
Well,
thanks
actually,
a
we
lot.
have to be careful what we use now, I say
Oh,
that,
you got all
because,
kinds of codes.
oh, yes, because you have to be licensed.
OSHA and,
So we'll have to have somebody come and spray.
um,
We can't even use ant
just trying to
traps.
get it done. All right, thanks a lot. Anything else?
Yes, John?
I just, I think, I think of going down there with a rake, a couple of hours with a rake, and it's gonna look a lot better. And of course, the painting and getting rid of the wasp nest, this is all, can be done in reasonably short order, I think. What I think we've done in the past couple of years, 3 or 4 years, or 5 years, we've kind of shied away from any kind of major projects there, thinking that we're really going to be putting our effort into a new library. It's certain now that we're going to be there for some time, or it could be 10 years. And so that, where I've been kind of not exactly for that parking lot, I kind of changed my mind on that and said, it's looking pretty sad. And I think since we're going to be there, and and we really are trying to put a little bit of extra effort in having our town look good. I think we start right here with town departments and that library with a nicely done lawn, some flower garden, and a new parking lot and painted. It could be a pretty little library.
Yeah, I think you're right about the raking for the side with the dirt, but not with the side with the tar.
Not on it, yeah,
That needs to be removed.
yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that has any business that they'd like to bring before the board? You're seeing none? This week, we did receive some correspondence. We have the Ecomaine recycling reports. We have Time Warner Cable's routine notice, reference programmer and broadcaster agreements. The March 2012 motor vehicle agent report. The treasurer's weekly financial reports. Representative Libby's newsletter, and a confidential complaint. If anybody is interested in viewing any of those documents, with the exception of the complaint, you can contact the town administrator's office or go online and get it from the town's website. Before I go any further here, okay. Tonight, I'd like to recognize that the chair of the Finance Committee is with us. Good evening, welcome.
I think you just woke her up.
No, I think
Long day, Tina.
she was deep in thought about the quarterly report, I'm sure. Reports, the Selectmen. You have anything? Yes.
Last night we had the 12-town group meeting. We had 7 towns represented. There was a guest speaker last night, Lee Burnett. Some of you might be familiar with him. He used to be a reporter with the Journal Tribune. He is now representing a group called Forest Works. And Forest Works is a non-profit entity that's working on creating a tract of forested lands and promoting forested lands within York County. So they did a presentation on the group about the benefits of forested lands. Right now they have 10 communities that are part of this, or that have wood lots that they're utilizing some of the resources that Forest Works has. Acton, Alford, Cornish, Lebanon, Limerick, Livingston, Newfield, Parsonsfield, Sanford, and Shapley. What they're promoting is the fact that there's 370 jobs in these 10 towns that are in existence because of forested lands. We talked about some of the benefits of the forested lands, clean water, wildlife habitats, biodiversity, recreation, the jobs. And what the group group is doing is they're looking at trying to preserve some of the large tracts of forested lands within the York County area. One of the things that they're finding is as lands are changing from generation to generation, where some of the older generations are more interested in keeping these large tracts intact, new generations are coming in, and as parents and grandparents are passing away, and what they're doing is they're subdividing a lot of these large tracts of woodland, so what's happening is the land is being developed. So they're looking at trying to preserve some of these forested lands, and then working with forest folks who have tracts of forested land on good forest management, having a forester go in, how they can economically afford the property. So it's an interesting presentation. They're looking at getting out to different groups over the next several months and really getting that foothold in York County. So that was interesting. I gave to everybody a copy of a presentation that was done by Tom Cashin. He's from Acton, and he is in his mid-60s, and he said he's at a point in his life where he's starting to look at what he's leaving as a legacy for his children and his grandchildren, and he's really been watching, about greenhouse gases and global warming and whatnot, and he feels that there's been a lot of science studies done that show that we do have a problem with greenhouse gases, however, the political climate is not addressing it. So one of the things that Acton is going to be doing at their town meeting and whatnot is they have this petition that's going forward, and they're trying to get enough people to sign it so that they can have an article on the November ballot that pretty much is a voice that says we the citizens want the government to stop being political about this and start working towards finding a solution. Enough politics, there's a problem, let's start addressing it. So in Acton, what ended up happening was their Conservation Commission is the one that kind of took the lead on this, and Tom is interested in presenting this, and what he'd like to see is all the towns in York County have this question on their ballot in November, and if it would pass, then that would get forwarded on to the state and federal politicians. So there was the information on that. If you haven't seen it yet, there's another Tabor initiative that's going to be popping up again. We talked about the county budget. The county is made some cuts to what the budget committee approved for financing, which is going to leave the county with about $500,000 in other monies, and instead of putting it into the undesignated surplus account, they found other ways to spend it. Part of it is the money that the budget committee put in to go towards the York County shelters. The county commissioners have opted not to cut that check, and they're going to spend the money elsewhere. And finally, we talked about the Maine Heritage Policy Center is suing the Maine Municipal Association. This started last June. What Heritage Policy Center is claiming is that MMA is a government entity, and as such, was not permitted to get involved in putting money forward to defeat some of the past Tabor initiatives. This is now moved out of the state, and it's gone to federal court, and it's going to be decided by a federal law court. MMA is saying we're not a government entity, we represent municipalities, and certainly Tabor would adversely affect those municipalities that we represent. So of course we're going to put money into defeating this. Maine Heritage is saying that because they view MMA as a government entity, they could not spend monies on doing initiatives to defeat these Tabor initiatives, and they want Maine Municipal Association to have to refund municipalities something to the tune of $2 million. So we'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out.
Hey, Tammy, was there any discussion on the forestry? You mentioned that large tracts being broke up. I mean, obviously, interest is one, money and taxes another. I mean, is there anything to encourage people to hang on to it, other than the fact they say they can benefit by it?
Well, I think a lot of what they're gonna be doing is promoting some of the, tree growth benefits. If you have at least 10 acres in tree growth and you have a management plan, then you get a tax break. So that's one thing that they wanna educate people about as far as benefits to the landowner, some tax breaks. They're also gonna promote, the jobs that are created, income that can be created from your forestry by forest management, the land, what you can get off of timbers and whatnot. They have a website that they're in the process of developing, and one of the things that's gonna be available on this website is you'll be able to go in and see what different types of wood have brought in for monies over the past. I think they said they're gonna do about 10 or 15 years, so you'll see, if you wanna sell the pine off of your land, this is typically what you can get for pine, or if you wanna sell hardwood, they're gonna have that on there. And they're also really starting to look at working with recreational groups to get recreational groups on board with this, snowmobile clubs, ATV clubs, land trust, conservation commissions.
Yes, John?
I was just looking at Mr. Cashin's letter here. He says, let's get together and talk about the problem, and let's not be political. Well, determining whether it is a problem or not is political. There's a political stance that's a problem. There's another political stance that it's not a problem. So it's hard to talk about solving a problem when you don't believe a problem exists.
Are there any other comments?
Just, going back to the Ecomaine numbers, we're just so everybody's kind of aware that for the month of March, we had a 20%, 21% recycling rate. Year to date, we're hovering at just about 21%, 20% basically. It's interesting when you look at the other 26 towns that are doing recycling at Ecomaine. The highest recycler is the town of Pownell at 44.6%, 1,600 people there. The lowest recycler is Leamington at 6.3%, and 3,800 people there, 3,900 people. So it's all a matter of, I think, focus, right? When you really look at it. But, the average for Ecomaine is, year-to-date is 29.29%. Year-to-date, we're about 20. So we're running a little bit behind the total of the 26 towns. But I think we've at least sustained a pretty reasonable rate at 20-21%. So it's encouraging from that perspective.
The whole panel, I saw that kind of developing about 25, 30 years ago. You have a half a dozen or a dozen real activist people in town, and they make it happen. They really push it and push it and push it, and people get on board, and those people that don't get on board feel left out. So it's that whole town is it happened because a real active group of people made it happen.
I've kind of always looked at the 5 original York County towns that were part of this thing, right? And, Lyman is 18% recycling, have a fairly significant transfer station like us. We're, like I said, almost 20%. Gunkwit is 34%, and Hollis is 24%. Hollis is now mandated that, because they have curbside pickup. They don't have a transfer station, nor does Gunkwit have a transfer station of any significance, other than it might pick up some stuff. But both of those communities have mandatory recycling at the curb. So I'm wondering if that is, and that's becomes a significant emotional event, right, for the taxpayer to say, I'm mandated that I have to recycle, but that's part of it. And of course, Leamington is down at the 6%. So, you gotta look at every 1 to 2%. And you can get to higher numbers, but there comes at a price. Right? So there's a business case there, right? So for every percentage that we do, it's probably another, $80,000 that we're saving? Not 80,000. Probably, probably half of that, maybe 40,000. So,
What do we realize in savings at the 20% level? Is there,
well,
do we have that
yeah,
figure?
I think we do have the figure. We'd have to look at the number of tons. I think they probably have that here, right? It's $88 a ton. And when I say year-to-date, that goes back to July 1st of this year. So if you look at year-to-date totals, we have recycled 334 ton at $88 a ton. So about $30,000.
What I think is interesting is we don't have mandatory recycling and we're at 20%, and Hollis has mandatory recycling and they're only at 36%. You would think that the disparity would be greater between a voluntary, which we are, and mandatory, which they are.
And you only have, North Yarmouth is at 40%, Falmouth is 41%, and Pownell, those are the, I'll take that back, Wyndham is at 41. So those are, out of 26 communities, those are the 4 communities that eclipse the 40% number. And there's 3, Cumberland, Cape Elizabeth, Gorham, Ogunquit, which I mentioned earlier, Scarborough, and Wyndham, Yarmouth that go over 30%. But those communities as well, there is absolutely zero, nada, commercial waste that goes into their household waste numbers. Where we have not prohibited that, so anyone that has a commercial establishment, store, shop, whatever, in this community can haul their own waste to our transfer station. We've always allowed that. But Hollis, all those other towns, if you're a commercial establishment, you have to contract with a hauler yourself to get rid of your waste. So it's kind of and again, it becomes an interesting dilemma of how much do you want to poke at to increase the recycling?
Well, I think if we poked at that, we'd run the risk, as we have on other things that we poke, that we're not a business-friendly community. And I think that just speaks to the fact that we are.
So, anyway, interesting numbers.
I guess I wonder there, we were talking about committees and giving them direction. If the Board of Selectmen feels strongly enough about this to give a directive to the Transfer Station Committee to make some fairly bold recommendations to get, that may be seen by some people as an infringement on freedom, but if they look at it from another direction, it's a way for them to save tax money.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, and the only reason I say this is because I traveled through both of those communities, if I'm headed into Scarborough, but both Saco and Scarborough have curbside pickup, and it's mandatory that you have a certain container. One is household waste, one is recycling. Pine Tree Waste, or Casella, or whomever picks them up, has a unit that picks up both of those at the same time, right? And that's a mandatory thing for household waste. And they're both 30, well, Scarborough's 32%, and Saco is 26%.
There's also a substantial cost in providing that service.
Yeah.
And having served on the transfer recycling committee for 10 years and working our butt off to make these bold steps, John, was a waste of time. And I would not support another one.
Waste of time, meaning it's been voted down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people in Waterboro are not interested in bold steps unless they're getting something for us what they feel. So, do you
I
spend
think it's-
$300,000 to go pick door to door, or go with the flow and hope people recycle?
I think the thing that, as we further our budget discussion, I think to increase that by 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10% comes at a cost. Now, there may very well be a long-term payoff, because I think as you train this generation and the next generation and the next generation relative to what they're throwing in the transfer station general hopper versus what they're throwing in the recycling hopper, will change. There'll be a marked change in how that happens.
I would like a report from the committee, though, on what is going on in schools. I mean, they had been interacting with, I think, the middle school there.
Yep.
And
They were running,
There was some good
middle
things-
school was running a zero waste
yeah,
program.
some good things that appear to be happening, but I haven't heard anything about it for several months.
They're scheduled to make a report tonight. Now, I know that the transfer station manager probably won't be making a report because of...
He gave me
Oh,
one.
he submitted
Yeah.
one in writing?
Mhm.
Okay. So I know he's not feeling well, so maybe we can get an answer to that question this evening. John, what did you have in mind when you said bold steps? Is this
Well, I mean,
more
one of them, of course,
education?
what we talked about was pay for bag, and that's gone down a couple of times. That's, but, you know, the curbside service is one area that people have brought up. It's very expensive, but it may have a payback period too, so. So, I mean, looking at those things that I wouldn't, I'm not sure, you know, beyond that, I'm not sure if there's something out there that we could try and promote.
You could probably have get some receptacles or something, that, you know, is household waste and
Yeah. Maybe more
recyclables
receptacles,
that,
too.
you know, so that, you know, people can purchase those and have them in their home. It would, as they go out to put stuff away, it would be reinforcing at their house that, oh, yeah, I need to throw this in this bin, and when they go down to the transfer station, but
We have some recyclable containers at the transfer station for a while that you could buy. Probably had some buckets that maybe a year
Yeah, I
or
think
two
that
ago.
was,
We had done
I
those
know
for
the school,
compost.
before Brockman went back to SED 6, there was an effort by them to look at providing recyclable stuff for the school. I'm not sure whether that ever
Yeah.
happened. Each
I thought-
classroom was gonna have
I thought we had bought some containers when we bought the composters that you could buy the,
No,
No.
maybe I guess we
we
talked
have
about it.
not, we've not made that plunge.
okay, we probably talked that one right into the ground. Is there anything else from the Board of Selectmen that they'd like to mention? Seeing none, the town administrator.
My report is going to be through the rest of the agenda, but to continue the trash talking, I do have Clint's report. The annual composter report has been completed and mailed in to DEP to retain our composting license for 2012. The 2011 year-end report has been completed and mailed to DEP and State Planning Office. This report gives detailed information on everything we handled at the transfer station: household waste, sheetrock, shingles, single-sort recycling, single-sort silver bullets, metal demolition, demo waste, furniture, white goods, universal waste, electronic waste, etc. These figure totals are calculated and gives us our overall state annual recycling rate. We have received a proposal from Marshall Specialty Grinding to grind our demolition wood pile and our brush pile. According to the proposal, this will be started by May 1st. This material, after grinding and testing, will be shipped to Sappi and Westbrook and be burned for waste to energy. For my 5-year capital plan, I've ordered 2 40-yard heavy-duty open containers painted green and will be delivered by Atlantic Recycling in early May. Our March recycling rate for household waste shipped to Ecomaine is 20.24%. Our average from July 1st, 2011 through March 31st, 2012 is 19.79%. If you already do single sort recycling, thank you. If you don't recycle, please consider starting. It's never been easier and will seriously decrease our solid waste budget. 450.60 tons of single sort were recycled last year, and including shipping costs saved taxpayers $45,000. Don't forget, we are now selling compost bins. The program continues through this month, so get your orders in now for bins, rain barrels, wing dingers, small garbage pails. Pick up order forms at the transfer station or at the town hall. It has been a very slow late winter, early spring. This seems to go along with our economy. If this is now picking up, we will be becoming increasingly busy with spring cleanup and clean out. Respectively submitted, Clint Andrews, Manager.
Anyone from the board have any questions regarding that report? Seeing none, all set?
I'm all set.
So we'll dispense with 3, because you just covered that. Is there someone from the Transfer Station Recycling Committee here to make a report? There is no one here. We'll move on to new business. Discuss and vote on a property tax abatement request for map 12, lot 6B, recommended for denial by the assessor's agent. What is the pleasure of the board?
Jerry was supposed to get some more information for us, so.
No,
Oh,
that
this
was,
is a
that
different
was a different one. I guess I'd like to have Jerry walk us through this, and he's got all the information here, but
Jerry, would you hold on 1 second, please?
Sure.
I
I think what you're talking about is coming next week.
Okay.
Is this another gravel pit?
No.
No.
Thank you.
All set? Chairman, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you should have before you the application for the abatement. More importantly is the results based on my letter of April 11th to the particulars on Things Mills Road. There was a comparative market analysis done by Bailey Realty Group on this property, and in looking through it, it was recommended that the property be listed for $165,500, the result of the analysis. One crucial fact that I felt has been overlooked through the review is that it's a 30-acre parcel. The comparables are approximately 3 acres or less. 30 acres is located in the AR zone, which is an 80,000 square foot zone. Attached is a copy that I had sent previously to the homeowners dated April 11, 2012. You should have a copy of that. At that time, an appraiser who was doing a refinancing appraisal indicated the property should be valued at $165,500. Property is assessed by the town now at $280,300.
Could I get you to back up just from, what did you say that figure was, 155?
Let's see, oh, wait a minute. You know what? Hang on a second. Yeah, it's a copy of the same letter. The previous letter, sorry for that, was May 12, 2011. in that the residential mortgage services indicated the property should be listed at $176,000. That was back in May of 2011.
Thank you.
The Bailey Group was recommending in April $165,500. It's assessed by the town for $280,300. In my opinion, the value that we have on it for $280,300, which was an adjustment over last year. This property was a group-type home, had a valuation of $421,300. It was an exempt property. It was a property that was revamped for a certain clientele. It does have 30 acres. It was hard to dispose of in the normal real estate market because it's kind of overbuilt, oversized, but it is sitting on 30 acres of land. So the $280,300 that we have on it now represents what the neighborhood would, if you were to compare the values in that area, this one would fit in at the $280,300. And I'm recommending that the abatement request be denied. And they were notified in the letter, as you can see, that the meeting tonight was, this is where the board is going to, this is the time when the board is going to hear the appeal. And I'll answer any questions you would have.
I will move to accept the assessor's recommendation of denial.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the assessor's recommendation for denial. Is there any discussion?
Jerry, what seems to be the issue with them under the assumption that it was going to be valued at a lot less because of a conversation they had with you?
And yes, and that did happen. It was assessed at the time they bought it for the $421,000. As far as leading them astray and all those other things, it was the normal procedure to review the property, try to determine what the value would be, and after looking at the neighborhood properties, this is what the adjustment would have been. And I did carry forth with that. So we did reduce it. In fact, the reduction would have been $141,000, I believe.
So what is it now?
It's $280,300.
Is there any others? Yes, Gina.
How does the board decide whether or not they're going to approve an abatement? I mean, I don't understand how the town of Waterboro can lose so much revenues with last week's decision with the abatement. I mean, the town is losing a lot of revenues on that one. How do you decide which ones you approve, which ones you deny?
Yeah, I think probably we all have a little bit different take, but that's one of the reasons why we have an assessor. And it's not always that we go with our assessor's recommendation, but he's the expert. That's what we pay him to do. And if he makes sense in his and his figures, then they go along with them. That's personal.
It's a case-by-case basis, and we have to look at, I think we try to be consistent in that we're going with the properties, what the value was at 2007, and I think a lot of the abatements that we've been getting that have been coming up in the past year or so are from people that are coming in and saying, in today's market, my house isn't worth what it was valued at 2007. And we've denied a lot of abatements. Some of them, though, they do have, they come in with a legitimate proof that Okay, it was over-evaluated in 2007, so those ones, I think, are the ones that we're approving. But I think the vast majority of them we've been denying. The one with the gravel pit, that's a whole different situation, and that had to do with the DEP permits and how much of the area is actual and active gravel pit compared to what's on the records as being an active gravel pit. So I think, that's different than housing abatement.
But is it taken into consideration? I mean, we did the budget based on the assumption of these are the revenues we're gonna receive from property taxes.
That's why we have
an
the overlay.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's the rest of the taxpayers making up the difference.
Well, it is with anything, whether there's any kind of an adjustment of a property. I think what you try to do is to be fair and equitable. We've had 20 requests, maybe, I'm just guessing, since the tax year started.
Less than a couple dozen.
Maybe 20, a couple dozen requests. Some of those have been errors that the town has made with, okay, we taxed somebody twice, we taxed Tammy Joe for the same property that you taxed me for. That's part of the abatement process, that we straighten that out. It's not always, the house was assessed for, this, and there was an error. We've had a few of those. I think probably you could count those on one hand. Those that we've said they probably really were overassessed in 2007, which is really the baseline. The argument, if you go back to last week, in the parcel that was being debated, that wasn't the gravel pit, that was the home, right? I think the argument is well, we should take everybody's taxes down to what the market is. We can do that. That's
And then
one
you're
fell
gonna spike the mill
swoop,
rate.
and you know
Yep.
what's going to happen to the mill rate. So the only way that an individual says today my house isn't what it's worth, it's not what you've got it valued at. I want my taxes to be reduced. The only way that individual gets tax reduction if we took them down was if we leave everybody else the same place. I don't think that's fair and equitable either. If you're going to say we're now going to start marching down the road where we're going to start changing assessments to what today's market is, you got to do that everywhere. And everybody has to understand that at the minute it starts back up, then we're going to ratchet that assessment back up. Net, if you're paying $2,200 in taxes today, you're going to pay $2,200 in taxes tomorrow, once we do that. So I think and if you really look at 4,300 tax bills that go out in this municipality?
Under 4,300.
Right, and we're dealing with a couple of dozen requests on an annual basis. I mean, it may look significant when you look at some of the dollars that we're talking about, but in the grand scheme of things, it's certainly being absorbed in. We might have, $30,000-$40,000 in tax abatements total?
Less than that this year. Well, also, there are the supplementals.
Right, which when we find out that something has been an error and somebody else owned it, we supplement the tax bill to go get the money from that person that should have been paid. So, but I think, John is probably as close to what we all are. It's an individual judgment case, but I think we're depending entirely on the case that Jerry puts together to say, this is why the number is where it is. And I think if that makes sense to us and is rational and whatnot, then we either uphold his decision or we haven't upheld your decision every time. We've had a few cases where we haven't, but so it's some people wait until the tax bill comes out before they say, well, wait a minute, I didn't own that, when they should have claimed that they didn't own it on April 1st of this year. So when the tax bill comes out in October of later this year, people will say, well, wait a minute, I didn't own it. Well, doomsday is April 1st. And that's when, if you have any discrepancy over what you own or what you feel you're being assessed, you're supposed to really challenge it then.
Thank you.
I know with respect to the gravel pit that you mentioned, I know that there's been some contention about the loss in revenue, but I think that Dennis hit it on the head. There has to be an equitable distribution of the tax burden within the community, and just because a person is a businessman doesn't mean that we're going to take money from him that we don't feel is justified just based on the fact that he owns a gravel pit. If there were the factors that we looked at was, is this in fact a usable portion of that? We're not just going to arbitrarily, just say that, yeah, you've got the whole pit, so we're going to charge you $25,000 for that entire parcel, when in fact
per
we're only
acre.
per acre, which was 23 acres, and he's only using 5 acres for a gravel pit. I mean, there's essentially you've got to have governmental fair play here, and that's what we looked at. So, I mean, there are those I would imagine that would disagree with, these, but that's our decision, and I think it was the right one at the time. And if under the same circumstances, if we had to make it again, I would make the same vote that I did before. So.
Probably should move on with this one, other than bringing any others into the discussion at this point.
Okay. So, regarding the application of Anthony and Dana Patiglio, we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded to accept the recommendation by the assessor that this application be denied. Is there any further discussion regarding this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Opposed? The motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the 2020 committee's request for advice on where to start with the infrastructure chapter work next fiscal year. What is the pleasure of the board?
I guess my take on this is I think the first thing that we have to start with is our buildings. I think as time's going on, we're realizing we've cut so much over the past couple of years that one of the things that's really suffering are the tangibles that we own right now. So I think, as I was thinking about this, the first thing I would like to see tackled is our buildings, our actual physical structures.
In what sense? I mean, what we have, or what we need, or what needs to be done?
What we have and what we need to do to maintain it so that we've got the longevity of the structures, and we're not 10 years from now finding that we need to come up with a lot of money to fix things that we've neglected. And then what do we need beyond that? And I know there's going to be a lot more to it than that, but that's where I think I would like to see us start, is what we have now, what condition it is it in, what do we need to do to improve it?
Another reason for doing that, I think, is it's the easiest to do, to assess the buildings that we have, come up and meet and say, what do we see, what's the size of this town going to be 10 years from now, projection 20 years from now, and what is the need going to be in order to service that many people. And then you re-look at what we have now and what we need 10 years from now and what might need 20 years from now in order to service the people that we have. And I think you could do that without putting a load of money into this. The next step, of course, some of the next steps is the road review is working, but I'm not sure they have the information yet in order to give the 2020 committee on road usage and have all that done. But that is an ongoing thing, and it might come together halfway through the year or something like that, toward the end of the year. And then the water studies. That could be very expensive.
I probably disagree here, because I think when you look at what we have for infrastructure, the buildings and whatnot are the smaller piece of this, okay? And I'm not sure that when you look at the comprehensive plan is looking at, you know, what's the municipality from a land use and regulatory use and whatnot, what is that gonna look like? Okay, what should that look like? And I think as you know, as we looked at this, and I would guess that from the 2020 committee, this is a request based on the fact of our recommendation for what level of funding goes in the budget. Because they were really looking at doing everything, and we said, you know, we're not gonna bite that elephant in one bite, we're gonna do it in less. So I'm only surmising that the request was, okay, if we're not gonna get total funding, where is it that we wanna start? And I think the discussion that we had a couple, 3 months ago, when this all came up, especially in the budget piece of it, was we really need to look at, you know, infrastructure from a road perspective and those kind of things. And you know, I think we gotta reach out a little bit to the guys that currently manage the water. But, you know, I see that when you look at the facilities in this municipality, I don't disagree that we have to look at that. I'm not sure that should be something that we have right Pierce or anybody that we're gonna engage to help do this chapter. Start worrying about, gee, should we look at, are we gonna have to have a municipal office complex that's 20% bigger in 10 years? Maintenance-wise is another issue, right? Not sure that we want to concentrate the comprehensive plan's efforts or comprehensive planning committee's efforts on should we be maintaining the municipal facilities, you know, on a 5-year basis or 10-year basis or whatever the case may be. I think that's all part and parcel of it. But what we own today, the infrastructure that we own and can manage today, by far, it's the roads. And it's how do we get here and what has to be done and what happens when, you know, because part of this is gonna be what goes into planning and zoning changes to say, all right, the next large development in this municipality has to look different than what we've done in the past, right? I mean, that's ultimately what this comprehensive plan will pass on to other committees, like the planning board, to come up with those things. So, and I'm not sure we're gonna come up with, we probably have 5 different opinions of what this comes up with, so maybe we ought to write those 5 different opinions to the committee and let them hash through that. But I think if we discuss it, we'll come up with at least 3.5 or 4 different things that we think they should be doing. But
See, I agree with Dennis too, because I feel, if you're looking at the buildings, that's more of almost like a maintenance CIP down the road, whereas the infrastructure, you look at what they have here is the wastewater, water, or roads.
and when you get to, let's talk public works, even though there might be some disagreement of what public works should contain. I think there are some efforts, be it charter commission or whatever, and certainly some input from this board, that there has to be something done with public works. That includes the roads, but it also, in a lot of our views, includes municipal facilities, right? And I think once we get over that hurdle of how are we gonna manage municipal facilities and municipal infrastructure in the future, right? Is it may very well be a governmental change, right? And I think that's what is being poked at here from the Charter Commission. From the comprehensive plan is, my God, when do we have to have a wastewater system, right? Or today, we kind of push developers into putting some level of fire protection into developments, right? With cisterns and whatever the case may be. Maybe there comes a point where if you're gonna develop in this area, Old Alfred Road area, whatever, instead of worrying about a fire cistern, we worry about where's the sewerage of all of those homes gonna go? Because we know that there's a very, very high water level. So I think those are the kind of things that really have to be exploited, and the infrastructure of how are we gonna service those. You know, we've had the discussion about power, how it runs through this community too. You know, why is it still hanging off from poles? It was done that way in 1942.
Yeah. I was intrigued with a statement that the school said that, you know, the best site for industry or business is North Waterboro because of the water table. And, I mean, everything we're doing is pushing stuff east and south, which is where the water systems are. So I think that whole issue needs to be looked at. Now, I don't want to see North Waterboro develop, but, I mean, it is what it is. Do we encourage building at a site that's going to cost us more down the road? I don't know, we need to look at that.
Yeah, if you look and say, okay, 20 years from now, talking about 20 years, what's the population most likely to be? Let's say if it's 12, 13,000, something like that. Okay, with 12 or 13,000, where's the building going to go on? Where's it open to build? And most likely where's that going to go? And then, are we looking at an industrial park? You know, this is one of the things I think that the 2020 committee should be looking at too. And where's the best place for an industrial park? What are the water needs there? What are the wastewater needs there? And when you look at the structure here, in 20 years, 15, let's say 12, 13,000 people, what's fire? You can project what fire needs are, what a police need's going to be, and what a recreation need's going to be. So there may be buildings in each one of those areas that take place in the next 20 years. So some of that is so much projection, but a lot of it is where's the building going, and if we have an industrial park, where's that going, and then how does that affect that? The rest of it, I think you can is based on that.
I don't have a problem with providing what my opinion is to the committee as an individual selectman, if everybody wants to do that. Or I don't have a problem with trying to come to some consensus here tonight, but
Maybe they ought to make a recommendation to us and say, this is what we're going to do. Do you have any problem with it?
Well, I think during budgeting season, when we did talk about roads. I think one of the low priorities on that list was a water study. So maybe we just need to kind of look at where some of those priorities are and which ones we think should kind of come down to the bottom.
Well, I think when we discussed water, we didn't, what we didn't want to have happen was expending funds redundantly for something that the water district either has already accomplished or it's something that they should accomplish under the auspices of their office. So taking that aside, then we have to look at what's left over, and it may be, a combination of roads. I'm inclined to agree that our transportation system really needs a strong, hard look, because that's how, inevitably, that's how we're going to attract people to come here, both residential and commercial. The pathways into and out of town go to all the recreational resources that we have here, and I don't think anybody's going to want to come to Waterboro if they've got to have a four-wheel drive to get down Main Street to just get to the lake. So we need to really, look at our transportation.
In the absence of a plan, things will naturally take its own course, right? And I think you've seen that now. The huge influx of growth in certain areas has now created a number of connector highways in this town, which aren't suited for that, right? I mean, Roberts Ridge, Deering's Ridge, West Road, I mean, all of the Weber Road, all of those roads have now become kind of major secondary roads by the nature of the amount of traffic and speed that people are driving. They weren't designed for that. This goes back to the discussion we had with the folks around the lake, how many months ago, that, you know, we had camp roads because we had camps. Now we have year-round houses, and we still get camp roads, right? So there's dilemmas that the infrastructure hasn't kept up with what's happened to the housing and whatnot. So, I mean, I'd also be, I don't have a problem with meeting with them and saying, okay, let's get together, the 12 of us or 13 of us, how many it is, and say, hey, let's score it out on a chart and say, these are the things that we think, and this is the weight that they have, and this is where you should go. And they should be part of that.
Yeah, I think it is only fair to the committee that they ask for our direction. They are at our beck and need or whatever. And we either need to meet with them and discuss it, or say this is what we want. I don't think individually is the way to go.
I think we meet with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, and it may take a little while, but as we discuss this, we may come upon one basic plan that we agree to.
At the risk of just providing an opinion, I think probably the best bet is to sit and talk.
When's the next meeting, Diane? First,
It's the first Wednesday. Actually, we're gonna change it to the 9th.
is that when they're reporting?
May 9th?
May 9th, we're gonna change it to, and we meet at 6 o'clock at the fire station.
That's not when the Conway school's coming in.
No,
Oh, okay.
I talked
Is
to Tom
May
today
9th,
about getting a
good
notice
for
out,
you?
because I was gonna be on
As long as
vacation,
any-
and we're gonna change it.
John, is May 9th good for you?
May 9th is good.
Jamie?
Yeah.
Okay. We schedule a meeting with them for May 9th.
We meet at 6.
At 6 o'clock?
Yeah, at the
Okay.
fire station.
Okay,
Does that work? And then we can just carry on our regular meeting.
okay. Would you see that the notification is made to them?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to discuss relative to item 2? Or okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 3. Conduct a third quarter budget review. What is the pleasure of the board?
We're gonna have Nancy present.
Yeah, I would guess in the interest of time, Mr. Chairman, if we could deal with item 4, new business, and item 1 and 2 of old business, which look like they may very well move fairly quickly, and then conduct a third quarter review after those.
Okay. Is it in the form of a motion?
Move that, yeah.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to alter the items on the agenda and take item 4 of new business and items 1 and 2 of old business and take care of that matter first, and then go into the discussion regarding the third quarter budget review. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. We'll hold item 3 in abeyance for a moment. Item 4, discuss and vote on committee appointments, 1 for Old Home Days and 1 for the Conservation Commission. What is the pleasure of the board?
I would motion to approve Virginia Schaefer for Old Home Days Committee and Peter Cody for the Conservation Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the applicants for Old Home Days and Conservation Commission. Is there any discussion on either of the applicants? Does everyone know each of the applicants, or do we need to schedule a review with them?
We're all set.
You all set? Okay, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the appointments? Opposed? Motion's carried. Old business, item 1, discuss the issue at the boat launch with a hole that needs to be filled in.
I got some information.
Okay.
Well, actually, I got 4 things here. One thing we can do, we can obtain a permit through DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers, which is a permitting process, and a plan, preparation in an amount of around $915 to put in small riprap material in about a 100-foot square area. Another thing we can do, we can install additional cement ramp planks. I haven't heard back from the state yet, and I'm also waiting to see what the cost of purchasing them are, because even if we get them from the state, we gotta pay to go up and get them, so. For right now, we can just fill in the hole using the material that is already in the water around the vicinity, because that falls on these repair and maintenance. And another thing that we can do is in the fall, we're gonna have to lower the lake earlier, and it has to go down lower so that we can get those gates fixed. At that point, get everything together, pull all the cement ramps, the planks that we have out there now, reposition them, and then maybe get some more, extend them out further.
Just for informational purposes, there was actually a fairly lengthy discussion on it at Charter Commission last night, because we had with us an individual from Maine Department of Transportation and the road commissioner. And their input on this is to wait until fall, because they weren't really in favor of the riprap, because that would pose some problems, especially with the power loading of boats and so forth in that area, that it really wasn't going to be a substantial fix. And it may even contribute to more problems than trying to fix it in terms of damage to boats and motors and so forth. One of the things that was mentioned was that because of the way that particular section is deteriorated, is the cement ramps are tilted. So they're gonna have to be removed, and the substructure of that be, put some good material in there and have it packed, so that particular portion is now level, and then put in whatever ramp material that you want out, not crushed rock, but, the cement. One of the concerns that the road commissioner has is if you attempt to lift those cement pieces the way they are right now, that you run the risk of those snapping right in half. Obviously because of the use that they've had and their instability right at this point.
So what do we have to do to just fill the hole in with the material that's already there?
Just fill it in.
Yeah,
Get an
just
excavator
get a
down there,
loader
fill it in.
and,
So
Can't get in the water, but we can have an excavator. Fill it
Excavator.
in.
why don't we move forward with that and then put together
Yeah.
the plan for this fall, since how we're gonna pull the lake down anyway to fix the gates and the dam.
And I know that you had a comment.
I was gonna say, I mean, my preference would be wait till fall, because I don't think riprap is gonna be a permanent solution. I think it's nothing more than a Band-Aid, why waste our
And
time?
we gotta erode everything underneath the riprap.
Yeah. So this is just discuss the issue so that we don't have to vote on it. So I think we'll just take and put that on the agenda for this fall. Perhaps we should actually get a date. Do we know when the lake is going to be lowered?
It'll be up to the board to make that decision.
Well, the normal date isn't gonna work.
Yeah, there was discussion last night about having it earlier than the normal date. There's an August meeting of the,
The Lake Association
Lake
meets
Associ-
the second Saturday of August, and I was just thinking if you could have it, decided by then, there would be a good time to, tell them that they're meeting, because they usually have 75 to 100 people there, so that will start getting the word out. Their newsletter is due out any time now, so it's too late probably for that.
okay. Could the chair recognize Mr. Lozier? Had his hand up?
I was listening to the options that Nancy was presenting, and did I understand well that what is existing will be delayed, repairs will be delayed till fall?
No, we'll
Take
make
the
makeshift
existing
repairs right now with an excavator reaching out and bringing that material that's already present in the lake forward and smoothing that out and trying to adjust the ground there so that it's relatively level. Because right now, I know when people back up, the boats are, the trailers are dropping off.
We can only fill in the hole.
Yeah,
That's all we can do.
yeah. And
But I think that's a good recommendation.
then in the fall, take more constructive measures to correct the problem long-term.
When you say fall, if we don't get any water, any rain.
We may not have to worry.
Because the lake in front of our place is down a good foot and a half, the normal, summer height. And I think you'll probably see more issues coming before you besides the ramp. And hopefully, I don't know, I thought of a solution to raising the lake, probably have everyone one Saturday hook their hose up to their bib and if you
What is, would
But I know it's
water
been,
just comes from the lake.
no, I know it's been a problem. People are running out of water in their drinking points. But anyways, getting back on the subject, I think that's the proper way to address it. And it'll be a one-time thing, a temporary thing, and then I'm in favor of doing it right and waiting, and I think the concrete slabs.
Yeah, because that's a significant resource in the community. And it should be done correctly, and it should be done in such a way that it's going to last for, quite a while. Because I know that as the taxpayers don't want to go back there every 2 years, to try to, put the pieces together again, and more money, more money, more money. Just do it right the first time and have it, last 10, 15 years.
A couple of weeks ago when I came to see Nancy, bring it to her attention, I don't know if anyone else had approached the town about it, but I had spoken to one of the wardens, and matter of fact, my son spoke to him last week, and have you spoken to the warden service? Because he was telling my son, Jake Saturday, that they were looking into something on their end, and I don't know what part they would play in it. I don't know if it's state funding.
Maybe enforcing the no power.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, because I think one of them was saw power loading the other day.
No power loading.
And I guess, you mentioned power loading, is that something that, I don't know if we have to hire someone to post at the launch, but to.
That's one of the things that we have currently within the budget structure, is having someone at the boat launch. It's through the Parks and Rec budget. And we have had discussions with them about that. It's not going to be like 24 hours a day, every day, but we're going to try to make it a little more prevalent than it has been in the past. But part of that's also going to be the milfoil reduction eradication program too. They're going to be checking on that. So, and I know that was mentioned last night about putting some signage up there or passing an ordinance, or suggested to pass an ordinance making it like a $250 fine or something for power loading. But then, obviously you've got to have somebody there to enforce that, and then, to litigate it afterwards. So, I mean, there's a whole host of things. Yes, Diane?
I discussed this with my husband last night, when we talked about it, and said you're gonna do it in conjunction with the dam lowering, maybe dam fix and repair and lowering the lake early. And his take on it was that if you can do it right and get the ramp longer, that should do away with your power launch, and they won't have to power launch.
Yes.
The problem, it needs to be, the
Yeah,
whole
the
ramp
part of
needs to be a
it's-
lot
yeah.
longer than what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
then
we're
that
looking
will
at
have-
extending it way out. So
Yeah, I said if you go to any of the, state launches and stuff like that, you can see how far out they go.
And that was a recommendation from the road commissioner, if you remember last night, was having that extended out as well. from a previous meeting, didn't Donald take some water level samples over there by the dam to show how much the lake had increased so far? I thought,
Yeah, he goes up on a weekly
5/8
basis.
of an inch.
Oh, yeah, he reads it at least probably 2 or 3 times a week.
yeah, and it's gone up, what, like 1.5 inches or something? It hasn't gone up much. But
It went up, but then as the water went up, it went out this way, so it kind of dropped.
okay. All right.
Yeah, because the lake gets bigger
Bigger.
as the water comes up.
All right.
Hopefully this rain this weekend will,
Are we all set with that, or trying to do something in August in conjunction with the Lake Association?
Well, just a date, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah, see
again,
what they
you can
have.
at least get a date to him that would.
When we'd start draining, lowering the lake, which would be earlier, would have to be earlier
Yeah, I
this year.
think Doug mentioned about, what did he say, about 45 days earlier than usual? Because we know 30 days don't work.
well, it depends too on how much, what the weather is. If it's dry, we,
That's true.
you know, we may not,
Well, how about if we leave it that the town administrator gets with the road commissioner and discuss a potential date, and then bring it back before the board to vote on, that's the date we're gonna do it.
Sounds good.
Sound good? Okay. Then we'll move along. Item 2, discuss and vote to approve the live-in partners FEMA grant commitment. What is the pleasure of the board on that?
I will move that we approve the live-in partners grant commitment.
Where does the money come from?
Point of order, if we could have a second, then we'll discuss it.
Second for discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the live-in partners FEMA grant application. Is there any discussion? Tammy?
Where does the money come from?
The money itself is, would come from FEMA, and if it's granted, it would come through the University of Southern
Southern Maine Community College.
Southern Maine Community College for their live-in programs. And what it would be done is be distributed among the grant, the people that okay this for projects like our project to put exhaust system in the fire
But
department.
there's
Now,
still
what
an
that would
expense
need,
to the town,
that would need some match, I think like 5 or 10% match. Now, 2 things happen. We get the okay for the, to put in that exhaust system, and the grant goes through, then we save a lot of money. If that is turned down in town meeting, then we just we say in concept, we agree to this, but we don't have the money to support it. So 2 things can happen, is you either, well, there's a whole bunch of things and combinations, but you get the money, then we have an obligation in order to use part of that money, we have an obligation to have some match. We have that match if the people accept that project. If the people don't accept that project and the money goes and the grant goes through, then we can we don't have an obligation to pay that money. We can say we don't have it.
Okay, I guess I'm a little more confused now than I was before, because I had spoken with the fire chief, and I was under the impression that there's a couple of different things at issue here. One is the live-in students, and our match, according to the language of that, could be having them attend the fire academy. And
Okay,
And
yep.
from the fire chief, that money has already been, it's already within the budget.
Okay.
And all set to do that, so that we don't have to appropriate anything further. The second part of that, is, as far as the ventilation system goes, is that currently it's in the budget for, I think, $38,000 to have a ventilation system within the fire department. But this portion of the grant would be that the federal government funds that exhaust system, and in addition to that, funds the sprinkler system in there, and that's part of a multi-jurisdictional grant application from several different fire departments. So what it would mean essentially to us is we could get the sprinkler system and the exhaust system for somewhere in the area of $12,000. So if the appropriation of the $38,000 took place at town meeting, then theoretically, they could give the portion above the $12,000 back to the town in CIP.
So now
What that does, however, though.
What does this have to do with the living arrangement?
It's both of those things are kind of tied in together, and I was hoping that the fire chief was going to be here tonight.
Well, I mean, he again thought that this was, that it did make enough sense that, and it did not put us at any risk that it would not need him to be sitting here tonight. So, that's exactly, by the way, I mean, you were just much more specific. I only get one part of it. But the live-in, the live-in part of it is that the grant is there for their overall protection across the state. So if there was a fire in their living quarters there, you didn't have a sprinkling system, not only would that be tragic, but it would be very embarrassing to the whole state that you have students that are injured in a firehouse without a sprinkler system. The other thing too is that the students are working in a place, a fire station, that could possibly be hazardous if you don't have an exhaust system. So all that is, that would be our tie into the grant, which ultimately makes an environment that is safer for students to be in.
So how does that tie in with the warrant? I mean, how?
Here's my issue. We're here to vote on this. We get a link in our package to an email that Matt Boers issued on the 6th of April that doesn't do anything to tie any of this together. All right? So before I vote, I guess I'd like to see from Matt Boers what he's asking for.
The submission deadline is the 30th, so why don't we have Matt here next week?
Yeah.
I think we're just, there's bits and pieces across the table here, and I'm just confused.
Yeah, well, I'm a little confused.
Because he doesn't mention anything about the live-in thing, other than we're trying to get more information from Southern Maine Community College. And there's no, unless Nancy has more information than that.
No, I had asked it for him to put something in writing. He was going to speak to Gordon and speak to John.
Yeah.
He did.
He spoke to me at length on it, but I'm not sure that our version jived.
Well,
I don't see what, I mean, I agreed with what you said. I may have said it incorrectly, but what you said is what I basically heard from Matt, except you were much more specific than I was. So,
I'd like to have Matt.
I think, yeah, I'd like to have Matt here as well, so that everybody hears the same information right from the source, rather than getting it, secondhand through me, or,
is there a time concern here?
yeah, the grant he has to give an answer, because the grant needs to be submitted by the 30th, so we need to, in fairness to him, give him the yea or nay as soon as we can, so he can have the ball moving on his end. So I think next week. we ought
Next
to have-
week is do or die. I mean, that's the last meeting that we have before the 30th.
Yeah,
So ideally, you should have been here tonight.
Well, Lisa had called, and I thought it was all taken care of because Gordon had talked to him and John had talked to him.
Yeah, I said, Lisa was concerned, She said, we talked with Gordon and talked with me, and I thought it made sense to me, and so I didn't think it was it's a long day, so if they could, if they felt that it was gonna fly tonight, they didn't feel that they needed to be here, so. Because Nancy knew about it, and the two of us knew about it, they thought they had it, Didn't see anything controversial with it.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I don't understand it, and I don't how much money are they looking to get? Where's the money gonna come from? If we can say, yes, we're gonna participate now, and then the money doesn't get funded at town meeting, if we can pull out of that without penalty, then that makes me feel a little bit better, but I'm just concerned where it seems like they're asking for money, we're at the tail end of the budget season, we don't really have any money to be shuffling around here. Those, I have the finance question.
The only money thing that I understand on this, and to me it is pretty simple, that we have a $38,000 piece in the budget for the exhaust equipment. And that if the grant comes through, then FEMA will pay a chunk of that $38,000 and maybe also throw in some, so that the money that we have, FEMA will pay for most of it, and therefore we can give some of it back. If it doesn't go through, if the grant doesn't go through, then we have the $38,000 there anyway. If the grant goes through, but people say they're not going to support the $38,000, then we just say we can't pay our portion of the grant. So there's no, as far as what I can see here, there's no risk at all to the taxpayers on this. The benefit is, if the grant goes through, we save a heck of a lot of money. We don't have to spend the whole $38,000. We get a big chunk of that paid for by FEMA.
That was my take on it. But the part of the live-in, we do that anyways, is pay for their training.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling, is what does this have to do with the live-ins?
That's
So that
that's
could
where
be
it got
like
more
our-
complicated when I was trying to explain it the way I understood it. I think people got more confused.
So allowing the students to participate in training, in essence, would be our in-kind contribution to the grant. Is that what I'm hearing,
I don't think
Nancy?
that's-
It makes a safer place for the
That's an
students to
in-kind to
train.
getting the live-in students. It satisfies that portion. But if you're looking at the exhaust system, it may mean that we have to pay like $10,000 or $12,000 is our match on getting that exhaust system in. See what I'm saying? So the remainder from 12 to the 38 could be turned back in. The only problem that I have with this whole thing, I think John's right in the sense that it's a win-win, but the problem I have is going before the taxpayers and saying, okay, we'd like the $38,000 for an exhaust system, on the chance that we get the grant, and then if we do get the grant, then it's only gonna cost the town $10,000 or $12,000, we'll give the rest of it back. I mean, you're kinda asking them to write a blank check in a sense.
I think you ask them for the $38,000.
Right.
And the grant, with no knowledge that grant is gonna be accepted. You ask them for the $38,000, they say, yes, we'll give you the $38,000 to do that. Then you say, oh, by the way, when the grant comes in, if it does, you say, it only cost us $12,000. Therefore, we have $24,000 or $24,000 that we can put back into unappropriated surplus.
Yeah, well, there may be taxpayers out there that wouldn't want to fund the $38,000, but because we've attached this caveat onto it, they changed their opinion based solely on that. And it's a win-win for the fire department, because if townspeople vote on it, they've got their $38,000, so they got the exhaust system. If they win the grant, then they've got the exhaust system and a sprinkler system at a reduced price, so that's where the town wins.
Yeah, yeah, and then you
So-
give the money, you put the money back into unappropriated surplus. It didn't cost us what we expected it to cost us because we got a grant.
All right, if we're gonna have him in here, let's have him in here.
Look how bright that is up there.
How red?
Yes, in the sky.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving that to next week's agenda. So the last remaining item is the conduct the third quarter budget review. And I'd like to wait just one moment for the chair of the finance committee to come in, because I think that that's what she's been waiting for. And hopefully it'll only be a moment.
Could we go down through the others and just come back to that?
Yeah, the chair will accept the motion for warrants and bills, for bills and payroll.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the warrants for bills and payroll. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Chair will accept a motion to accept the minutes of April 10th, 2012, regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of April 10th, 2012, regular meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Pending decisions. Public service announcements. We're still waiting for the equipment upgrade.
We have everything in place. I'm gonna start working on that.
Okay. All right. Review driveway opening permit language. I believe you're in discussions with the road commissioner. Board and committee status. We still have vacancies on a number of the committees, although we did have some this evening. Assessing board of review, we have one. Fair hearing committee, 2 vacancies. Hiring panel, 4 vacancies. Zoning board of appeals, 1 vacancy. 2020 master planning committee, 2 vacancies. Finance committee, 2 vacancies. Planning board, 1 vacancy for an alternate member. Parks and recreation committee, 3 vacancies. Conservation Commission has been reduced from 3 now to 2. Economic Development Committee, there are currently no members, so there's 7 vacancies. And the Public Safety Committee, currently no members with 9 vacancies. We also have an addition now to the Old Home Days Committee, so that committee should be full. The Water District office space lease, we're still waiting for an answer from the Water
yeah.
District. The internet and electronic mail policy is being worked on. And we have back with us the chair of the Finance Committee. So now we will move into the discussion of the third quarter budget review. And I'll turn it over to the town administrator for overview.
Selectmen did say that they had a couple of questions on some of the accounts. Christina had sent out a request on what the questions would be so we could get the answers tonight, but we didn't receive any questions.
I can remember responding to that, and I know that I wanted to know why their particular line exceeded the 75% threshold. What accounted for that, and there may in fact be a legitimate reason as to why, but we would like to know, what it is, what caused them to be over that percentage.
On each line?
No, on the
Oh,
overall
okay,
budget,
okay.
what caused it?
All right,
Not
well,
any particular line.
I can
We'll be here
start.
forever.
Yeah, you're right.
What budget is this?
Yeah.
Any department, of those departments that are subject to the review, and we picked out the ones that exceeded the 75%. If they were under that, if they were at 66% or 70%, we don't view that as being an issue. But if they're at 80% or 85% expended, then we need to know what those expenses were for. If it was a one-time thing that they occur and that's what put it over and it's artificial inflation, then so be it. But if it isn't, we want to know what it is and whether or not they have sufficient funds remaining in their budget to support their department through the remainder of the year. And if not, then we got to look at reducing some of the programs or some of the things that they do in order to bring those in line.
All right, we'll start right in with general government. General government is 79.80%, 79.80% spent. Our ACO is 128% overspent, but you have to add in the revenues for the dog licenses, and that would be about
3,300.
Yep, 3,300 on that. One of the health insurance is over, will be over, and that is due because we budgeted for, we didn't budget for the position, budgeted for the person, because we had 2 employees that were taking the full amount and 2 employees taking the buyout, whereas actually we have 1 buyout and 3 taking the full. So that is why I'm gonna lose my voice. Why the health insurance portion was be over. I think the rest of it.
Where is there room in the budget to make up that insurance shortfall?
Well, we'll have to look in, because we can, the last 3 months of the year, balance it.
Yeah, when you said that 2 was going to buy out 2, I don't know what you said, but, I mean, can they change their mind after we know we're budgeting on what we think, but they can flip-flop or what?
Yes, I can, because it's in the personnel policy that they can have health insurance.
So,
And they don't-
That's why this year we're budgeting for the position. We're budgeting $9,000 for every position.
but typically there would be an open season for
Yeah, it's in-
signing up for health
Yeah,
insurance.
it's in December.
right? Maybe we can implement that
Yeah, that's
going forward, to say, it's either now or never, right?
Yeah,
Going forward, because we have to be able to, regardless of what the price is, right? We have to know going forward.
budget, yeah.
So Tammy's question again, if we're overspending in that area, where can we balance it out by underspending?
In general government, just in general government and not using any of the other,
Well, first of all, I think our first step would be in general government.
well, not much left there, just enough to put
Yeah,
us through the year.
General government, my view, I guess, if you look at this last week, we're now at 84% spent versus 79 where we should be, or thereabout. So it's not gonna happen in that account. And I guess the only thing that I would see is the ACO, even though you bring down to 3,000, there, we're still, it's 4,100 in the hole now, or at the end of the quarter. So that will help balance that out, but ultimately, we're gonna have to look at somewhere else in what we would perceive the operation of the town to offset what looks to be a,
Okay, so what would be the projection of as we stand right now, how much we're gonna overspend general government? And then we'll know how much money we need to transfer in from someplace else.
I'll be able to tell you better by the end of this month.
But that's what we gotta look
Yeah,
at
because we're
now.
still, Julie was doing some journal entries today because I noticed some of the invoice had been coded wrong, out of the wrong account, so we're still shifting. She did one this afternoon.
Why is the ACO so far in the hole? What contributed to that?
You budgeted $14,626 plus the fees. And he has contract to pay so much a week.
Right, but we budget for so much a week, correct?
No, you haven't. You have for this coming year.
We anticipated more in revenue than what we're getting.
Right.
Oh, okay. That answers the question.
Okay, the town clerk one, we're at 75.82, but that will increase with the upcoming election. Leases, that's kind of a given. I think we only have, might have two more lease payments. So we're gonna be in good shape with that one. We're
Okay,
at,
so, let me just interrupt. If we go back to general government, currently on a run rate of 338,000 versus a budget of 318, so there's about a 20,000 that's there that we gotta make up. Now, we're saying 3 or 3,500 is dog fees, which cuts into that a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm looking to see what we got left in our legal, because that will be a big hit in the next couple of months.
Right.
And of course, legal also includes, what we pay York County Registry too, for our recording deeds and what we pay per month for our deeds. Where did I leave off? Leases. Everybody else set through the leases and insurance?
What areas in general government can we potentially look at that would help us to offset or lower that year-end figure, so that we don't have to do, a whole lot of transfers from one department to another, or
Well, general government also includes the town clerk, tax collector, treasurer. The treasurer is at 73, tax collector's at 72, town clerk's at 75. I'd have to sit down, and look to see what we got for invoices and bills in there.
With the,
But I have already been telling them that it's operational expenses only.
the coding errors, I thought we had resolved that we were having more eyes on that, so that wouldn't happen anymore.
Well, I think some of them, one of them I looked at, it could be instead of Department 40, it could have been 45. And that could have, I could have done it when I was teaching Christina. I mean, we had to learn all of them at the same time. There wasn't many, there was just a few that we just had to change. And Christina's been good now about catching them, and she'll change them. But this was one that was way back in September and October.
That takes everything through the treasurer.
Mm-hmm. The treasurer's at 73.
So David, seems how he's in the
Yep.
room, and
Who's
IT,
next?
um,
He looks
he's
good
at-
because
he's
he
at-
just had
He's
a,
at 60%, but I presume you're gonna spend, I guess the question is there any opportunity there?
well, he looks good because he's got his appropriation from special town
Understand
meeting
that,
in there.
But the question is that he's now at 60%, is there opportunity?
Possibly.
And I would guess in municipal facilities, we budgeted 13, we've spent 1,800.
Mhm.
There's 12 grand there.
Yeah, and I have put on the schedule to have the septic systems, both systems here and at the library, pumped out.
So it's gonna be even more overspent.
No,
No.
it's underspent,
It's on the
way
facilities.
underspent. Municipal facilities.
Okay, so instead of realizing a $12,000, it's
something
gonna be
less than that.
probably 10,
Yeah, so that, you'll have to
somewhere in there.
scrub
No.
that, because I think, I mean, the rest of the board can feel how they want, but I think we need to resolve this sooner than later.
Now, your upgrades to the video and audio components, is that about complete, or, I mean, have all the invoices come in on that so that we know?
No, but I've been putting everything back out and getting some better numbers, so I think we're gonna come in, I'd say, probably 4,000 under the anticipation, so I think you can probably count on that at least.
But whereas that money came from the cable franchise, if we're not using it for the upgrades, does that have to go back to the cable franchise line?
It's me.
No, but it could go for some of the stuff that we've already,
Mm-hmm.
But it's
we
not-
could,
Right,
that
so-
we spent,
so we
that
can
could
take-
be.
We could move the money out of operations.
There has already been money invested in this that came out of IT and
Right.
other areas as well, so I think putting some back is not out of the question.
Yeah, and Julie and I had talked today, and towards the end of the month, we're gonna sit down and go over and see what's available.
And not to blow through this, but the tax assessor is up. That should be okay because he's under budget, right?
Yeah,
He's under-
if you notice, the health insurance, that's one of them that's being moved out of there, 1,500.
Okay. So he should be fine.
Yes. Chair will recognize Dane.
Do you, is there more than just the dog license fee revenue? Are there any other revenues that are gonna offset?
There is, oh, where is it? There's licenses, ACO fees, and fines.
Were you talking just general?
That will
Yeah,
go
well,
against that
we're-
general?
We're gonna be about
government.
40,000 behind in excise tax unless somebody
no.
starts buying some new cars.
Yeah, I'm
in
just
the
saying
next
it's gonna
few
go against these expenses.
months. Oh,
Mhm.
Okay, if
Yeah.
there's anything else besides the dog revenues?
Well, yeah, well, it's a state law that we have to use all the dog stuff.
Yeah, but I mean,
against-
none of the other stuff, there's no other revenues that's gonna be pegged into that?
No, it's already figured into them.
Okay.
Yep. Code enforcement, you all set with tax assessor?
yep.
I'm sorry, is that in here?
No, it's fine.
Code enforcement, we are at 74.6%.
And the revenues are way up on that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Which is a good thing.
Not hard to say.
It's not like we,
They only budgeted 10,000, so when you say it's way up,
Well,
don't everybody get excited, but it's 18,000 over what we budgeted.
mhm. The library is at 72%,
It's good.
and they're doing pretty good with their revenues there, well.
She's fallen behind in her collections of her $3,000 in fines. so-
Yes, yeah. But she's up on her book replacement.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec at the end of March was 71%
Mhm.
spent, and,
His revenue is right on target.
yep, 75.2%. Planning Board has got a whopping 12.36% spent.
The question I get for the planning board, have they all, I mean, do they submit for payment on all of those meetings? I mean, are they up to date? In other words, if somebody not submitted that,
well, seeing as it looks like they've only submitted for $47.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that they're having meetings, So,
We don't
and they
wanna
get
run-
paid for those
Well, the
meetings.
year to the date they've spent, yeah, they should have had them in.
I thought we changed that the last.
Yeah, they should have had 'em
Because
in.
of the issue that we had with the fire department,
We
that we're
said we
gonna do
wanted
that.
them.
You know,
Yeah,
did anybody tell the fire, the planning board?
But they wouldn't, yeah, they wouldn't, you don't have to worry. They have enough in there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're
Salary.
talking $6,000.
Yeah, but if we start moving funds around to balance the budget, and then we get caught short there because we
Oh.
weren't expecting,
Mm.
you know.
They've only had about half of their meetings.
Yeah,
so-
they haven't had very many
Yeah, but
meetings.
still, it's way under that.
No, I know, I'm just saying, they're getting used to
I'd like to, I'd like to see a more systematic method of them getting paid so that our figures are more day-to-day accurate than saying, oh, geez, well, we
Wanna go
gotta plug
monthly?
it.
Well,
We gotta plug
I mean,
in.
Monthly,
people who work have to have a time card or fill something out. If they don't,
You know, we have the minutes of the meeting, we know who was here.
you know,
Yeah, the secretaries.
And it's not how long they were here, it's that they attended the meeting.
Yes,
Can I go back to Parks and Rec and see why they were so overspent on repairs and maintenance? Do we know why that was so over?
The pump at Friendship Park, right?
the pump and,
it was
the bus,
something with the bus, it was the radiator.
radiator.
The pump at Friendship Park.
The water pump at Friendship Park went belly up last late fall, early fall.
Yeah. The little shed that's in back of what, left field.
Yeah.
It's right there.
There's water there. They've got a pump, and there's water at one of the sheds.
Like a hydrant?
No,
No, like
it's
a
a driven
water-
pipe up to well point,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
because they water the field.
yeah,
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay, thanks.
I don't think they drink it. I think he just uses it for water, right? I mean, for irrigation.
One more note on the planning board, if you're gonna use their minutes to figure out this year, they're usually a few months behind on minutes, partly because they don't meet that often and have to, you know, the
But-
forum.
But Tina knows who was here at that meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
If they start submitting them monthly, that would be,
yeah, because Tina can submit it monthly, she's
Yeah.
got all the records.
We don't need the minutes, we just need the,
Yeah, she can keep it on an Excel spreadsheet after
does.
every
She
meeting
does.
and just send it over to you.
she does, she has a attendance record that she keeps. Let me know, yeah. Planning department, we're at 71.8. Zoning board of appeals are way over. Theirs is because of the legal
Yeah.
that they have had.
Their salaries are at 100%.
Fire department was 71.59%.
While we're on the fire department, have they submitted for their, what was it we had an issue with? Call pay? Is that more timely now? Or is that?
They'll do it, they'll have to do it in June.
yeah, but we gotta know what the exposure is.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we don't want to get slapped with, like we did last year in mid-July or 1st of August with this.
Well, it all went into accruals, but
Yeah.
Well,
what did
as much as I think we can minimize the accruals, it makes it that much quicker that we can get the material to the auditors and get the general audit back.
in the end of under the fire department or EMS, my concern is that we show this huge cost of rescue billing,
That's right,
but we didn't put a budget in for it.
that's right.
I mean, it's the budget's in there, it's baked into the whole operating cost. We need to make sure that as we develop this next budget, we at least cull that out so we
It
can,
is.
We did.
It is in there for the next budget, the 20,000.
because I think,
And that's part of it's part of their ordinance, the 20,000 that is left goes towards, so. Yeah, that's always been a,
Yeah, see, I was under the impression that all of the prior year accruals were gone. Why are we still showing prior year accruals on this?
they're all zeroed out, aren't they?
Well, we've got current month activity,
I think,
Which account are you talking about?
most all of them,
Yeah,
actually.
public safety,
Public safety,
8156.
EMS, a lot of them have prior year accruals with activity
The
this month.
prior year accruals, I'm looking at the quarterly report. For, you said, public safety?
Is that the- yeah.
Under 60, unclassified, 5997, prior year accruals, they're all zeros.
Not under
Yes.
current month.
Current month here is 8,156.82.
All of them
Okay,
accruals should
so
have been
what's
wiped out.
That's a negative number.
What's the current month? You got
This was as,
March.
this was,
330?
yeah, this is what she sent out for the third quarter.
When I
There
got-
shouldn't have been any activity.
I pulled the revenue, you get the revenue expenditure report or just the expenditure report?
Both expense revenue.
Got two.
as a report that she gave to me today shows the credit and the debit to wipe out the accruals.
Where's the debit?
It's on this report that she gave me today.
69.97.
Oh, it's not on
It's
the
been done
expense.
since this?
No, it should have been, it should have been done.
I was gonna say, holy God.
66764.
Oh, I thought we
Should've
were
been
done
on
with
the
accruals a couple months
Yeah,
ago.
we were.
We should have all been done with it by the time the audit was here.
This is the
Yeah.
one dated 4/9.
You know, I just
Yours is
copied
dated-
it over.
Yours is dated 3/30. Mine's
That's
dated
because-
4/9. I've got what you're looking at. Dennis has something different.
Well, I've got the expenditure revenue report as of 3/30, 2012. I do not have her, she's got the quarterly report up. I
Yeah,
got
I've got this is the quarterly.
I got the expenditure revenue report up for the end of March. Really don't care what the quarter is. I'm
Right.
really interested in where we are year-to-date, right? And it's not in the monthly report, so why would it be in the quarterly report? I guess that's the question.
Yours is dated
When this
4/9.
was, when these were printed out,
Okay.
these were printed on 3/30.
Yeah, mine's
They
four,
have a different date from
mine's
us.
4/9.
And
They
the,
have 4/12.
the report that I got today, they're all out, the debit and credited out, all out,
Is that a 4/12?
417.
4/17.
I can't get into Trio on this one.
Oh, my guess is what, no, it still should show, no, it wouldn't show. If it was done in the month of March, you're showing it, and she ran it in the month of March. No, this is current month too.
No, this was
So-
run April 12th.
So if it was done in January or March, you would see it in a quarterly report. If I'm just looking at the month of March, I'm not seeing it, because they've already been taken out.
Are you looking at the month or the quarter?
I'm looking at months, but year-to-date, because the month has month-to-date, and it has year-to-date, doesn't, so what she did was take January, February, March for the quarter, right?
Yeah. January to March. So our current month would actually be January,
Well,
Well,
February,
that's why
March.
it's showing up in your current month, because she took them out.
So somewheres in
during the
January,
quarter.
February, March, there was that debit.
Well, they didn't come out, because they had to come out in January or February, because in March they're not there, but if you look at the bottom line, which is the unexpended balance, it's zero, correct,
Yes.
in your report?
Yeah, the
Right,
end
so they would,
balance is
so they
zero.
would take, that's showing a negative number, because they were taken out in January or February. And the reason it doesn't show up in just March's raw numbers is because it was already done.
Oh, that makes sense, it would be current quarter first, yeah, that makes sense. Right.
Do you have any other issues on the fire?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Other than Ross Connor, I hope somebody rattles them to make sure if they're gonna ask for all 6605, they do it. before July 10th.
Well, they sent in a budget request, but it was after the deadline. So it's reverting back to to last year's.
Did they know that already?
Yep.
They
I
do?
asked
Oh, okay.
Matt sent them a couple of letters, I think you did too, didn't you, Nancy?
It was in their budget packet.
Transfer station is good,
Yep, Clint's doing good down there.
although his revenue has slowed down.
Mm.
And Equity hasn't sold metal for a while and all of that stuff.
Okay, we're gonna run into an issue with the hydrant rental.
Well, we're gonna have to cover it from elsewhere. I mean, it was, last year we carried that much over, but
Yeah, we're at 36 and they're saying 42, so we're six down.
as of last week's numbers, it had been paid, so we're at 42.
Well, I guess my question then, I guess, is if we paid it, that's good, but where'd the other 6,000 come from?
We're gonna have to
It's gonna
cover
have
it
to come from somewhere else in the budget.
And we have to tell the water district to also is they reimburse us for their portion of the election.
Yep.
We didn't, in fact, I sent Julie an email to ask me to let me know when they paid it. They paid it so late that it was after the accrual process.
So it's in this year's numbers.
So technically, we swallowed their election last year on our costs.
And we shorted them $6,000 in rental. So we paid the $6,000 this year, and they've paid us for the election. So what's the delta?
And we haven't got the agreement signed yet with them for this current year.
So the real big number here is left as general assistant, right?
Yes.
And have we slowed enough to think that we're gonna not expend more than $100,000?
Well,
I mean, I would guess this time of year it's slowing down.
I can tell you as of today. I would say probably not. As of today, we spent 94%.
All right, so the real hit here was the $11,000 that we put into a sewer system that was unplanned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I understand they're on a payment plan to
Mhm.
repair that.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, general assistance, we don't have a choice, but
Yeah.
I guess the other question is how far in arrears is the state with paying us?
I'm sure they're right on.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
if
we're
we-
in the
if-
same account as
I mean, when
hospitals.
we did this calculation, we expected 50,000 from them if we spent 100. We're gonna spend 100, and right now, they've only given us 29 out of 50. So, there's a
58%.
disconnect somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, looking at it, we're way over on the rent.
Good to see that we're exactly 75% on the SAD 57, or RSU 57. Probably ought to change that department number to read RSU 57 instead of MSAD.
To go back a little bit on the rent line on general assistance, there was supposed to be some changes made there. Were those implemented, Nancy, do you know?
Yes.
Is that making any difference?
Um,
Or maybe that's something you need to ask and
Mhm.
kind of get back to us on.
mhm.
Yeah, because we're way over. 11,
You
12.
mean, you talking, changed your guidelines to qualify?
Now, is this
No.
something we could be updated on, like, boom, a month from now, rather than just saying, oh,
Yes, I'll have her give a report.
okay.
And I guess I'm not sure, we've got 2 line items in there. One was for sewer, and I would presume, did we pump a septic tank?
No, this was for 2 replacements.
Okay, so one under utilities, we listed as $11,000. And then under
Yes.
5717, we listed again as 1,065.
Yes,
So
I'm
those-
sorry, one was a pumping and
Okay.
the other was a,
The pumping was how much?
If it's $1,000, we're all in the wrong business.
yeah, no, I'd have
There's some
to,
big-
there was a couple other things with that too.
Okay.
If I remember it, one, they had to pump it before they could do anything. It was seeping out on the top of the ground or
Yeah, I would
something like
assume
that.
that probably happens, but. And the CIP programs were just paid ahead, right? I mean, we're completed.
Mhm.
Did I miss something back in Public Works as far as the salaries being 97%? Salary being 99% spent, and overtime being 334% spent? How do we overspend, how do we have salary spent by 97% with 25% of the year going?
Plowing, plowing the parking lots.
Is that in a different account?
No,
I thought the plowing was gonna come,
no,
we were
you,
gonna save money on plowing. because it
correct,
was
you
gonna be-
did. You did on the
On the contracts.
on the contract. We don't have the contract anymore, but didn't put into the wages the extra time that it takes to do the plowing and the sanding.
That's not done in a 40-hour week?
32 hours.
No, because if you get a storm so,
Okay, I.
so you want the time adjusted, so if there's a storm, he only works 32 hours anyway?
Yeah?
Well, let me ask
It's
this
too late
question.
now.
We don't pay overtime unless it's over 40 hours, I would
Right.
hope,
Correct.
right? And it's not, I mean, we paid, 1758. So is some of that straight time in that number?
No,
If you plan for,
actually, overtime is extra time.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a time and a half.
No. Some of it probably was because of the storms.
should we not have expanded the job description and the salary that went with it at the beginning of the year, rather than saying that this is what we're gonna be paying this person for the year to do these jobs, and all of a sudden you find out that you're paying more than what you basically contracted to pay?
Well, what we can do is transfer some of that out. I mean, the bottom line doesn't make a difference. Bottom line is what counts, because there's still $22,000 left in the plowing.
So you can take what was done in the plowing and you
Yeah.
can put it into what went to roads or whatever the
Okay,
case may be.
but if you look at this, it looks like what we've done is we paid a person 125% of what we agreed to.
And I guess we need to look at, going into this budget, how we're gonna handle it.
I can't remember what we put in.
'Cause if
I think
it's-
we put in for extra,
Right.
We put in regular hours, and we put in hours needed for storms.
Right?
Wasn't some of that overtime storm-related?
Mm-hmm.
Because we had the
FEMA.
hurricane
Yeah.
that wasn't,
Yeah.
So some of that came out of the FEMA reimbursement that we received.
Be nice to somehow capture that,
yeah.
even if it doesn't have to necessarily be in this account, but it would be nice to look at a paper that's attached to this that says, okay, we're over this many hours, this is where those hours came from, because it can't all be certainly storm-related, snowstorm-related, because we had a very light year when it comes to that, so,
But you still had sanding
understand. Yeah. That was light as well.
And I think part of our reasoning for having the employee able to do some of the plowing and whatnot was that he's typically slower in the winter months, so there was some time there that could be absorbed.
So I guess going into the next budget year, I need to know, does that mean it's 32 hours, whether we have a storm or not? And if it is, then,
Well, I guess that, how do you I guess it's a classification of an employee, of whether or not you can say, all right, he worked 60 this week, he's not gonna work 32 next week, right? I mean, you'd have to be able to balance that with some level of flexibility. And that goes back to how he's classified. Right now, he's classified as an hourly employee, right?
correct.
I'm
So
not
when
sure you can-
he's over 40 hours, he gets paid time and a half.
Right, and I'm not sure you can say that, well, he worked 8 hours over this week, so next week he only works 24. I mean, and you get into labor
Mhm.
law issues there, right?
Mhm.
So we need to lay that out so that we understand it better. Because I think you're right, if you get into that, we made a decision that we were gonna save $9,000 by moving to a municipal vehicle and doing all of the plowing ourselves of municipal lots. And we need to make sure that we just didn't, I know we moved the P because we moved it under the truck lease rather than paying a contractor, but still, you now have an employee that is
And
putting
a
in-
lot of that came, I mean, I know he worked a lot of hours in August after the hurricane. We
Okay,
had a
so
lot of trees.
that's what we ought to break down, is what were the extra hours worked?
Was any of that reimbursable time?
Yes,
Sure.
you don't get reimbursed equal
Right. So you-
No, but I mean,
FEMA rates. Yeah, we got reimbursed.
I mean, it would be nice to be able to say, okay, of that,
yeah,
Money.
we spent 30,000, but we actually got
Yeah.
15 back.
Yeah,
Would be nice, that we,
well, even to say, okay, we're overspent $1,200 in the salary, but that's because he has an extra 60 hours in because of
Yeah,
storm
okay.
X.
I can pull the report off.
I
Not
think-
this one, on the other one.
I think it's important to understand where the hours are coming from, for several reasons. One is the old debate, is it cheaper to contract out, or is it cheaper to own, right? And, I mean, government and municipalities are no different. They have a tendency to grow, and grow, and grow, and grow. And I'd like to know where these hours are and how it's broken down.
Yeah, I will.
I guess
I'll run his hours.
yeah. In fact, part of the names that we were during a hurricane or something, we would still have, if we still contracted, we'd still have the contract amount that we paid, and we'd still be paying for the hurricane, otherwise, we'd still have trees all over the place.
So, if you
that's all we
budget
need to
for,
know.
if you budget for
Yeah.
a person's, if you budget for a person's wages, and you don't hold to that, but you say, okay, we need them here and we need them there, now you're looking at the wages, the total wages being significantly greater than what you planned on at the beginning of the year. And as David said, you've got a self-fulfilling prophecy. You got a truck and a guy, and you use them. And you use them, and you use them.
That's what we're
And because
doing.
the job is there, and next thing you know, though, you've got a person that you budgeted 40,000 for, but you're paying them 50,000. And you say, who authorized that?
That's what we do, John. We use the truck, we use the person. If we have we have a storm that we have to clean up, we use our truck, we use our person. If we are on a road project, we use the truck, we use our person.
We should.
Well, yeah, but on the other hand, are we budgeting accordingly,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
I think before, that if somebody had a truck, like, the town would pay for the use of that truck. Now, we're not doing that because we have our own truck, so there's a savings there, but we haven't somehow calculated that into this whole
You
mix.
need controls, though, and if there's no controls, if there it is, geez, you know, let's do this, because we got a guy that can do it, and, you know, we'll pay him 55 hours this week, because I'd really like to have this done, and there's no control there. So we need to have some sort of, in the planning, and say, we've got this person, and this person is paid 40 hours a week, and we planned out 100 hours of overtime during the year, because we expect that, and we hold ourselves to it.
Okay.
All right, anything to do with the unclassified, so we all set?
Yeah, under the, is that the same issue that we had with the 8,000, we got with the 4,000? Okay.
The finance committee has not spent any of their money.
We're gonna have a party.
Did they overexpend again?
Pizza party?
David's invited.
That would be good authority.
Oh, you're coming, so. No, we voted at our last meeting, Nancy was there, that she can buy notebooks and some office supplies for us for another year. And if she runs short, needs paper for even this office, that's fine, because it's really for office supplies, and we've been using from here. But we said for another year, we probably really don't need it. You know,
Yeah, they had said to
take
put it
out of
into the,
budget.
and I sent something out to say that instead of putting it underneath finance committee, dump it into the office supplies.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what you use. All right, I will look up the road one, and there was a couple of, a report on GA where we're standing.
Okay, so we're concluded our,
And the planning board paid monthly.
our quarterly budget review.
Yep.
Okay, we've covered all those. Week's action list, I think Nancy has a list on those things that need to follow up, correct? Discussion of agenda items for next week. One thing I'd like is an update on our collections process.
Yes.
We haven't had a report on that for a little while. I'd like to know where we are and if we've made any progress at all
On the,
on the personal property, the ones that
Okay.
we contracted
Okay.
out.
yep,
Is there any other items for an agenda next week that anybody would like?
Matt,
Yeah, fire chief.
yeah, I've already sent him that. You want him in.
I'd like an update on our signage for the parks. Anything else? I'm sure some stuff will come up during the week. Okay, our reminders. Wednesday, April 18th at 7 p.m. Was a scheduled planning board meeting, but that has been rescheduled to April 25th in the town hall. Again, the meeting that was to take place with the planning board on April 18th has been changed to April 25th. Thursday, April 19th at 6 PM, the Finance Committee will have a special meeting at the Old Town Hall. On Monday, April 23rd at 6 PM, the Transfer Station and Recycling Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. On Tuesday, April 24th at 6 PM, the Selectmen's meeting will be held at the Town Hall with a public hearing to discuss adopting a new ordinance exempting active duty military personnel from vehicle excise tax. We should also have a report from RSU 57, and we'll have the fire chief present that day. Wednesday, April 25th at 7 PM is the planning board meeting at the Town Hall. April 26th at 6:30 PM, Old Home Days Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. On Thursday, April 26th at 6:30 PM, the Waterboro Library Board of Trustees will meet at the library. On Saturday, April 28th at 8:30 AM, the cribbage tournament will take place at the Old Town Hall. On Monday, April 30th at 7 PM, the Charter Review Commission will meet at the Old Town Hall. And Tuesday, May 1st at 6 PM, the Selectmen's meeting will take place at the Town Hall with reports from the 2020 Comprehensive Master Planning Committee. And with that, unless the Board of Selectmen has any.
One comment, the Wednesday, the 25th, planning board is also a public hearing for a site plan review on the Waterboro Crossing addition there.
Okay. There's a,
Waterboro Crossing being where the ordinances?
Yeah,
We're done.
okay. Thank you very much for that. I had one little thing, and
Just remind people too, we've had red flag warnings for fire dangers for the past several days. Hopefully, we're looking at some rain this week, but people need to be extremely aware of burning conditions, make sure that they're calling the fire department. There's been no permits issued. And if anybody smells smoke or whatnot, they need to let the fire department know. Very dangerous conditions right now.
and
I'd
just
like to
to,
also, I forgot to draw people's attention when you drive by the Taylor House and the fire department, look at the trees there. They've been thinned out, the underbrush is taken out, it's really looking nice in there. Also, a new sign has been put up, and you're going to be putting a flower garden in there. That whole peninsula of the Taylor House and the fire department area is going to be really, it's turning into a really attractive spot.
the town clerk wanted me to mention, if you took out papers for nomination to any of the elected positions in town, that those papers are due on Friday, April 20th. So make sure that you have the required number of signatures on those papers, and make sure you get them in prior to 5 o'clock, the close of business on Friday. And with that, if there is nothing further, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and double seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Good night.